Welcome, guys. Great to see you. We got a lot to talk about tonight, and I'm super excited about it. Fix the camera real quick. Joyce, PJ, Sadie, good to see you. There are so many things happening. Just like you said, Sadie, it's not every week or every month. It's going to be every day. We're seeing so many things converge. We're seeing so many things happen, and we've talked about this before. Hey, Jess. Hi, Linda. Where there's this kind of overwhelming sense of polycrisis going on. I'm gonna move my desk real quick somehow. With my kiddos, it got moved. It's gonna bug me. We'll just make it even. There we go. Okay. And so we're watching this idea kind of a polycrisis where it feels like there's like 16 dozen things happening at once. So we'll talk about a lot tonight. We're going to talk a lot about U.S. stuff. We'll talk a lot about Satanism and the culture stuff. We'll talk about disease outbreaks that are happening right now. We'll talk about things going on in Israel. Now, when you look at the thumbnail for this video, it's really showing this lady giving birth and she's about to have this kid, and that's really where we're at right now on the prophetic timeline. Trace, good to see you, United in Christ. Great to see you. Where if we look at Jesus talking about his coming, his birth pangs getting closer and closer, we're talking about the rapture, and we're seeing that as the shadow of the tribulation looms larger, the rapture draws ever nearer. And so we need to understand, guys. Sorry, here we go. I think we're good. We need to understand is there are so many things happening, and we can choose to be scared or prepared. And so we have the hope of Christ. We've got the hope of his coming. We have the hope of joining him. And it's important to understand that while these things can be overwhelming, they shouldn't scare us. These things are foretold to have happened several thousand years ago, and we're watching them happen in real time. That is incredibly exciting. And we'll talk a lot about what's going on. So starting with this, if you guys didn't see, several things happening in Israel. It looks like war with Hezbollah is going to heat up as well as with Hamas. We're about to have a multi-front war. And then out of the mix now that Syria is saying they're ready for war. There have been several airstrikes in Damascus over the last 48 hours. We're watching a sharp increase in those. We're looking at Isaiah 17 possibly being fulfilled really soon, especially if Syria is threatening war with Israel. So we would essentially have fronts on, Gaza, Lebanon, and Syria at that point. And it's interesting because there have been many attempts to shut down military efforts by Israel. If you guys saw in, I believe it was Rafah, I believe is where it was, where they just rescued those hostages a couple of days ago. And we even have the fact that, Egypt is saying, look, if you go into there, we're going to have a problem. We're going to take away whatever aid or whatever, kind of steps towards peace, whatever normalization you want to call it. And of course, they get called on, they backtrack from it. But it's important to understand that the whole reason that they went into that city, into that bordering town on the Gaza-Egypt border, was to rescue 2 hostages. And when we look at that, guys, it's essential because we need to understand that, again, all of this time with Israel performing military action, with Israel going into places, lighting it up, and that kind of thing, it's really, truly, it's for the sake of protecting these hostages, for bringing them back home. Their special operations. It's incredible. It's incredible though, because when we look, and this is from Jerusalem Jane. If you guys know Jerusalem Jane, she's a great source of news coming from Israel. And this was last night, 9:20 p.m., where she says there was a joint IDF, ISA, and Israeli police announcement that it was clear for publication that during a joint operation in Rafah, overnight 2 Israeli hostages were rescued: Fernando Simon Mormon, 60, and Luis Har, 70. And it's interesting, guys, because they went in there, they came back with 2 hostages. But when we look at aerial footage coming out today from the IDF, it's showing that there are actually encampments where it looks like most of the hostages from October 7th are being held over there. Now, of course, you've got all of these conflicting factions basically saying to Israel, don't go and get your people, don't do this, don't do that. They're really making it a point to try to stop them. Unfortunately, though, we're looking at the fact, guys, that Israel's basically saying, hey, look, no dice. We are going to be going in there and getting our people out. Let's talk about 3 different diseases happening at once, by the way. Moving on to that, and we'll talk a lot. We'll go all over the place. We'll kind of have some encouragement at the end. It's so awkward. I don't have a place for this Powerade, so I'm just going to sit down and try to bump it with my mouse like I have been. So If you guys know what's going on in China, there's a death of a woman on Wednesday from a combined infection of H3N2 and H1N5 strains of bird flu that have followed and have somehow become cross modified. They've become friends. And so that's making for a really bad time. So we're looking at this. There's a case of bubonic plague in Oregon, which is phenomenal. There is a possible Ebola outbreak from a flight that happened several days ago. We've got disease X forming as well. And so here's something, right? And I'm just gonna put this out there. When we're looking at all the things happening, this polycrisis, a lot of it is to distract, a lot of it is to redirect attention, energy, efforts. But then there is the genuine, the genuine kind of general crisis mode that people are getting into. We have seen the last couple of days, at least in Central Texas, gas prices have spiked, grocery prices have spiked. There is worry that in the supply chain there's going to be a breakdown because of viruses. There's rumors and whisperings of lockdown procedures being reinstituted. All of these things, and so it's important that we understand that again, our faith is in Christ, not a system, not a government, not a grocery store chain. It's in Christ. These things shouldn't scare us, but should prepare us. But on the other hand, too, we have to understand that it's important to be a little bit prepared. So, like my family, one thing that we do, we don't have, we're not, crazy preppers digging holes in our apartment. What we do have is we have a bunch of extra dry food, water, that kind of thing, just in case things go a little south. I mentioned that gas prices for us jumped up like 30 cents overnight when a lot of this stuff was coming out. Food prices have shot up at our local grocery stores. We're an Aldi family. We love Aldi. Aldi is super cheap, good food that honors the Lord. They are also a faith-based company, which is awesome. But even their prices have gone up significantly, which is pretty crazy. It's all happening so fast. We talked about the fact, guys, that it almost feels like you're going through uh, so many things so fast that it's almost like you're looking around and you're kind of like dazed and confused. If you've ever seen like The Flash, right? You know, he's moving a million miles an hour, but then when he is moving, he looks like he's moving in really slow motion, but it's just because he's going so fast. I believe that's a perfect example of kind of where we are right now. The bag in the background. Oh yeah, I've been spotted. Yeah, I was there earlier today. It's awesome. Um, so, here's something else, guys. We're looking at a lot of bombarding of U.S. bases in the Middle East. We're watching a deterioration of that. There was a special report from a special counsel that said that Biden is a well-meaning, fumbling old man who doesn't know what he's doing. And now Kamala Harris is saying, I'm ready to step up and be the president. Fantastic stuff. Clown world for sure. Hi, Ali from Perth, Australia. We're in America over here, and it's getting silly. So, we've talked about a lot of stuff already in the first 8 minutes, and it's sometimes it can be a little kind of spinning around, and you're like getting a little bit of whiplash. But honestly, there's a lot to cover, and I want to cover all of it. Um, Here's one. This is from Elon Musk. He announces the first successful implantation of Neuralink chip in human brain. Initial results show promising neuron spike detection, said Elon Musk on X. Which, if you didn't know, guys, X is going to be an all-encompassing app. It's going to be biometric. It's going to be finance. This has been Elon Musk's kind of brainchild since PayPal. PayPal was just an early iteration of trying to get a financial system that he could use for his all and everything app, like he's been planning for decades. So it's impressive in the sense that things are moving along pretty quickly. So we could be potentially having first female president, quote unquote, because of everything going on. It's possible that Elon Musk's Neuralink is a ground mark for the mark of the beast. We're watching the fact that when we look at, for example, in Matthew 24, when Christ speaks about false signs, lying wonders, these things are the appearance of miracles, but are actually man playing God or the demonic. This is a prime example of that. Apparently, there was another brain implant company that gave a paraplegic the ability to move and communicate. So it's like all of these things that Jesus has done, or the prophets did, and then they're raising. When Christ raised people from the dead, or he's healing people of their infirmities. Satan tries to give a cheap bastardization knockoff through his cronies. So in this case, it's putting Neuralink in a monkey or a person or whomever. It's going to be the Antichrist trying to say, look, I make the blind receive their sight. It's a chip, it's whatever. These things aren't shocking, but they are progressing rapidly. It's impressive because people really are convinced that they're going to be able to play God. I am of the mind that Elon Musk is a Trojan horse. I'm someone who tends to vote red in America just because those tend to, not always, but tend to more closely align with biblical values. Nowadays, you can't really tell because everyone's bought by China or they're pushing a satanic agenda, so you really can't tell. But for most of the time, it seems like policies by and large go more towards Bible, the more conservative they are. But Elon Musk, quote unquote red pilled, where it's like I was a liberal for decades, now I'm a conservative. I believe Elon Musk is a Trojan horse, though, because when we look at everything that he stands for, the dude literally worships Satan. He posted a picture of him Halloween last year. Hey, Sean, good to see you, man. Leslie, good to see you. Kristen, good to see you. Where he's wearing satanic armor with goats and pentagrams. I mean, the dude talks about the fact that he wants to go to hell. I mean, the dude needs Jesus. He is right now a proponent for the enemy, though. And so the reason it's startling to me how many Christians are like, Elon! And it's like, dude, Elon is a Satanist. Like, that's frightening that we've let our guard down so much that whoever says things that tickle our ears, all of a sudden we want to make them president, world leader, whoever. Keep your chips, Elon. We're good. I'll stick with water. Thank you. So there's rumors, guys, that Biden might strike inside of Iran. So if you guys have been following the storyline in the U.S., it's basically Biden is an old grandpa. He doesn't know what's going on. He's well-meaning, and he wants to prove to people that he is mentally cognitive. And so the way he's doing that is possibly starting war in the Middle East, which is great because that's what people in their right minds do. Yeah, Iran's got the ability to make nukes. Yeah, just hit them. It's fine. Yeah, if it were possible, right? These things would deceive even the elect. And so it's important that we really understand. It's important that we understand that we need to be on the alert. We need to be in the word. Oh, we're right at like $3 as well, Jonathan. We're right there. Man, here's one. This is a video off of YouTube where it talks about AI generating dreams through through whatever demonic technology they've got going on. It's turning off Wi-Fi routers into cameras by using the waves to look through walls. It's some wild stuff. It's wild stuff. And pardon me, guys, the pollen out here is insane. So if you've got the sniffles, I really can't deal. It's interesting when you talk about the prophecy with the white rainbow and stuff. There were foxes in the rubble of the Temple Mount. A lot of their quote, I don't know, are those actually prophecies that God gives the Jewish people to kind of alert them to the sign of the end? Maybe, I don't know. But it seems like a lot of those things are starting to happen in the Talmud. Yeah, we're getting crazy. It's getting exciting. It's getting so exciting. If you guys didn't see as well, y'all, there's a bunch of cargo bomber planes flying across the U.S. right now in a crazy pattern. It's nuts. Something's going to happen. It's not anything that's shocking if you know Jesus, but it is startling because a lot of people don't read the news. They don't want to know. They kind of emu in the sand, so to speak. And so a lot of this stuff happens, and they're like, that's crazy. Oh my goodness, when they actually see it. If you guys saw, our friend Tucker Carlson was interviewing Russian President Vladimir Putin, where he basically won the record of saying that America is not controlled by the president, which, oh man, that's shocking. I can't believe it. I lost sleep that night, right? He talks about the fact that there is kind of this global entity pushing for globalism, that kind of thing. Not shocking if you know Jesus, but what do I know? I just work here. We'll keep going. We'll keep going. There is a lot of people kind of realizing that the border infiltration is no longer a good, friendly thing. It's not just undocumented people fleeing regimes. No, it's actually like terrorists that are coming through. They're like, hey, you don't know me, but you will soon because I'm going to blow something up. That's exciting. We're just going to keep plowing through news here. And again, this is not a fear-mongering video. This is just to say, look, we are past the point of like, oh, something crazy happened last week. It's like, no, something crazy happened in the last hour. By the way, as you're reading that thing, there's a new thing right here. So we're just going to keep going. Here's one. New York City set to distribute $53 million worth of prepaid debit cards to illegal immigrants at the cost of taxpayers. Shocking. The U.S. has evacuated its consulate in Erbil. That's scary. Oklahoma City, a rare 5.1 earthquake. Here's one for you to chew on. When Jesus says earthquakes in diverse places, that context is places that normally don't have earthquakes. Oklahoma City, exciting. If you guys didn't know, California was hit with something like 15 earthquakes in the span of 2 days. That's pretty crazy. That's exciting. If you know Jesus, you guys know that several days ago, King Charles, now diagnosed with cancer. You got to wonder if the Antichrist is going to come along and heal him of an infirmity, right? And be a false sign and lying wonder. It's funny because when you look at the security for the Super Bowl, it's better protected than our border. Oh, cool. Yeah, actually, I can get that for you. So here's one. Let me go ahead and share these for you guys just while we're on the stream. These are a couple that I use. Yeah, earthquakes in Florida too. I saw that. Yeah. So this is one called Current End Times Events. We've got Beginning of Sorrows is another good one that does some military stuff. So guys, right now what I'm doing is I'm posting. If you guys use Telegram, I know some people don't like Telegram. That's okay. Doesn't have to be for you if you don't want it to be. This is simply me saying that if you want to use it, you are more than welcome to. My favorite one that I use for the Middle East especially is called Middle East Spectator, where it goes over a lot of things in the Middle East. If you guys don't know Jerusalem Jane does a fabulous job of updating on the police and on the military stuff going on in Israel. So let's see that real quick. Let's see that. Okay. So let's keep going on. Oh, and I got them all for you that I use at least for now. Oh, here's another one too. Bubba News is good. Pew Views is good. Guys, all I'm doing right now is I'm spamming the chat. Monkey Works is good. Like Monkey. Monkey does great work with Spyglass and doing flights and stuff. He's really good at letting us know about those chemtrails, things of that nature, which, guys, I'll tell you again, another thing going on in Texas, at least, and all across the country, from my understanding, the chemtrails are getting way out of line, way out of control. Yeah, check out Monkey Works as well, guys. I don't have Monkey on Telegram. I don't know that he has a Telegram. If he does, I'd be on down, obviously. So when we're looking at this stuff, guys, it's pretty crazy. Obviously, again, it can be really overwhelming if you don't know Jesus, but if we know Jesus, we know that this is supposed to happen. There was destruction of one of their major mosques, the Al-Hada Mosque in Rafah, during the mission to rescue those hostages. There were really kind of fears that it would escalate into a full-on ground offensive. It didn't happen as of yet. The eclipse, man, that would be interesting. I'll talk about that for a second. Well, we'll kind of take a break from news for a second. We'll talk about something cool, the eclipse. So the eclipse, guys, is going to become the shape of an X. It's going to be over Texas, where I live, on April 8th. If we're still here, we're going to go camping and try to see it. That would be really cool, especially in the stars. My thoughts on that? I don't know. Could it be a major prophetic sign? Absolutely, because we know that from Genesis, God says he'll give us the moon, the sun, and the stars for days and seasons. Could be. Could just be something cool that's happening that's just kind of one of those signs in the heavens that Jesus talked about, right? The heavens doesn't necessarily mean physical, literal, dimensional heaven. In the context, the heavens are space, the galaxies, that kind of thing. So back to news. Biden has said that he is trying to deal with Israel to give a ceasefire, but Netanyahu is giving him hell, and it's possible to deal with, according to NBC News. Yeah, the problem here, guys, is that the problem here is that what Biden and these other people want is they want Israel to back down and be bullied by terrorists. They want their citizens to get destroyed, pillaged, violated, murdered, and then sent off to camps. The problem is those that God's people aren't going to be bullied, and the problem is that God's hand of protection is on Israel. And so whatever they're going to do, I believe, is going to work out for them, especially in the time of the end. Personally, that's just my thought. But what's happening, and this is a clear case of self-defense. And when we look at this, guys, the more and more that goes into these operations, the more resistance there is. And the shocking thing is you can look at this and all over America, especially during the Super Bowl, stand up to Jewish hate commercials. But then our administration is actively promoting Jewish hate by saying, hey, we don't want you to go in there and defend yourself to your people back. Biden has apparently gone on the record of calling Netanyahu an a-hole, which is shocking because that is literally coming from, again, this guy who was just going out to be bought by China to start these wars. I mean, the pinnacle of self-service, and he's calling Netanyahu that for trying to go in there, rescue his people. It's startling. And that's straight from Biden. Biden got caught apparently on a hot mic saying that. Pretty crazy. Pretty crazy. It's nuts. And again, we're looking at this, and it's shocking if you don't know Christ. However, it's impressive because we see that again, You know, we're watching all of this happen in real time, just like Christ said it would. Whew. Wow, that's crazy. Here's one. I want to share this. I'll share this on my Telegram, guys. If you guys follow me on Telegram, I'll put in my link. I know some people really don't like Telegram. I'm really sorry, guys, but it is a way that I can get to you without being censored. There's something on Telegram, guys, where there is an Iranian guard ship that's got like 4 crazy missiles on. They're intercontinental missiles. Um, so that's cool because when we're looking at this, guys, again, we're looking at this and we're just seeing all this stuff escalate, and then you got Biden trying to go in there and actively start stuff in there. This is a statement from Speaker of the House Mike Johnson concerning illegal immigration in the United States and Texas's um, kind of stance against it, and then rejecting this Ukraine billions of dollars, and then by the way throw some Israel legislation in there too. It says House Republicans were crystal clear from the beginning of discussions. They are so-called that any so-called national security supplemental legislation must recognize that national security belongs or begins at our own border. The House acted 10 months ago to help enact transformative policy change by passing the Secure Our Border Act, and since then, including today, the Senate has failed to meet the moment. The Senate did the right thing last week by rejecting the Ukraine, Taiwan, Gaza, Israel immigration legislation due to its insufficient border provisions, and it should have gone back to the drawing board to amend this current bill to include real border security provisions that would actually help end the ongoing catastrophe. Instead, the Senate's foreign aid bill is silent on most of the pressing issues facing our country. The mandate of national security supplemental legislation was to secure America's own border before sending additional foreign aid around the world. It is what the American people demand and deserve. Now, in the absence of having received any single border policy change from the Senate, the House will continue to work on its own on these important matters. America deserves better than the Senate's status quo. It's crazy because this is calculated at every step. This is not something that's like, oh, we happen to have a border that's falling apart. This is a calculated move. This is supposed to do this. It's supposed to break the one country that, on paper at least, would stand in front of the way of Antichrist regime, because globalism is bad because Americans, right? Um, but it looks like we're going to kind of. I'm personally, I'm of the mind that we'll be raptured before we see the kingdom of Antichrist ushered in. Some people get really aggressive about that. I'm just sharing my personal opinion based on what we see and based on scripture. But it looks like that our calculated kind of expiration date is approaching, especially with the lack of anything significant happening on our borders. There's a terrorist attack in Jerusalem yesterday, I believe. There was all kinds of crazy stuff. We're looking at, again, this expansion into Hezbollah, this expansion into, possibly, with Hezbollah and Lebanon, possibly into Syria as well. Damascus International Airport has been struck several times, I believe, or was it just Damascus? I think it might have been just Damascus. Usually, when they strike Damascus, it's the airport. Um, but Isaiah 17 getting closer, right? Isaiah 17 saying the burden of Damascus, I will leave you a ruinous heap, right? You'll cease to be a city. That stuff is going to happen. Like it's not going to um, slide past them. That God's judgment is true. It's going to happen. Oh man, I talk really fast and I apologize. I know sometimes that can be challenging for people trying to work on slowing down, but there are so many exciting things happening that I can barely contain myself. Oh man. So that's just a small chunk of the news happening, by the way. Like, honestly, that's just a small sliver of what's happening. And what I mean by that, family, is that I can't begin to go through all 900 stories from the last 4 days, much less the last week, the last month. I can tell you that it's possible, guys, that this month of Ramadan coming up is going to be the worst violent month for Jerusalem in a while. Last year was rough, the year before was rough, but it seems like every year it's getting more and more intense. Man, Damascus is going up in smoke. It's saying that it's ready. It's ready to go to war with Israel. So let me just give you a real quick. This is from Bro Keegan Fernandez. A real quick kind of synopsis of what's going on. Iran knows that Hamas is almost decimated and needs to fully activate and engage its other warring factions of Hezbollah and the Houthis. Damascus is on the cusp of turning into a heap of ruins, as Isaiah 17:1 says. The countdown to the destruction of Damascus. Iran has armed as Hezbollah ahead of the expansion of the war with Israel and has vowed to keep backing Hezbollah during regional tensions leaked to the Israel-Hamas war. Hezbollah is about to engage in the war, and with the Israeli army, had said that if Hezbollah joins the war, they will destroy Damascus and target Syrian President Bashar al-Assad. This was about a month ago, guys, that Netanyahu came out and said, look, if you Hezbollah join the war, we're going to level Damascus. And it looks like they're going to make good on that promise. Gilad warns that warplanes noses are pointed north as IAF hammers Hezbollah sites. Oh, yeah, absolutely. Hey, PJ, what I can do for you, sister, I can go ahead and I can go on the community page while we're doing this, and I'll post them on there for you as well, if that's easier for you, because I think on the community page they'll show up as links. Or you can go on your computer whenever you're on your computer. We're looking at Psalm 83 about to blow up. We're looking at Yair Lapid, who is the former, stand-in prime minister and now the opposition leader, saying that the region is going to go up in flames. And Ben Gavir is saying that he's going to run up to the Temple Mount during Ramadan and cause a ruckus, which is awesome. Oh, okay, no problem. Absolutely, PJ, I got you. And during Passover in April, they're trying to sacrifice the red heifers. That's like barely 2 months from now, family. I mean, there is so much happening, and we've got the eclipse. I mean, come on, it's crazy. It's crazy. I'm gonna get guys real quick. For anyone who is not able, let's try this again. Guys, for anyone who is not able to access the links that I've shared so far, I'm going to go ahead and add a bunch of Telegram links to the community page. So if you guys are wanting these, they are there for you. But I want to go ahead and do it now. That way, if people want to kind of follow along what I'm talking about, we're able to do this. So forgive me as I look like into the camera, kind of in the distance. But I'm just trying to make sure, guys, that we're sharing these before we forget. Sharing them because there's so much relevant information. I want you guys to get the most that you can. And with Telegram, when you join it, sometimes you don't get the old stuff, which is frustrating. Sometimes you do. It just depends on how the channel's feeling that day, or your storage in your phone, things of that nature. I'm going to be adding a bunch of these channels, guys. And I want you guys to know that, again, it's exciting because we know that Jesus is coming soon. I'm also going to go ahead, guys, put like, Bro Chad, Bro Tyler, a lot of just wonderful sites and sources for news. End Times Headlines is another great one. And guys, I want to do this while I'm on stream, and just encourage you guys. If something seems, if something seems sensational or anything of that nature, feel free to reach out to me. I like to vet this stuff. I usually do a pretty good job, but sometimes there's just so much that it's really hard to. So I'm gonna copy this stuff, guys. Let's see. And Middle East Spectator, guys, is pretty military, pretty Middle East. Sometimes it gets a little aggressive, but I think it's just good to have news of what's going on in the Middle East like that. Okay, so I have posted a bunch. Oh, let me go ahead and put Pete Garcia's on there too, because he always posts his articles and videos, which is always good. And I think that should do it. I think that should do it apart from like Bro Tyler. So let's see that real quick. And guys, again, forgive me. I know it probably looks weird as I'm like, kind of staring off into my computer, but my goal here is to give you a list of reliable news and information so that you're able to kind of go and look and see what's going on. Okay, so that should be good on that. Absolutely. You guys are so welcome. So, we're half an hour into this video, and a lot of you guys are probably wondering, why are we so happy in the midst of all the crazy? Well, it's because we know that Jesus is coming, and he's coming soon. And you might be wondering, what do we do in the meantime? And guys, it's pretty straightforward. We make sure that we're sharing the gospel at every chance that we get. And I'll tell you guys, testimony of God's faithfulness in giving us opportunities. There was a guy we went to go get Cece's Pizza tonight, my wife and our beautiful girls, and there's a guy who has an upside down cross and a sticker that says "Not today, Jesus," and it's making fun of the "Not today, Satan" stickers. And I was able to write a note, put it on his window, and I said, "Hey, Jesus loves you. He died for you, and Satan's a fraud." And I put it on his windshield and I drove off. And I think that even small interactions like that, right? Those are powerful because those are an opportunity to share the gospel, even if you're not, going out with a cardboard sign or that kind of thing. Not everyone is called to go out and to share in the streets, but we are all called to share in some capacity. So whether it's notes on cars, whether it's sharing with coworkers, or maybe you go to like an IHOP all the time and you're a regular and sharing it with your favorite waitress or waiter, whatever the deal is, share the gospel. All right. So short of you tonight. We are going to be doing more this week. I'm going to go ahead and put up the schedule. We're going to do about 2 or 3 more Revelation studies, guys. This Sunday at 8 a.m. is going to be our first study that we're going through. I mentioned a couple weeks ago that we want to start doing it on Sundays at 8 a.m. There will be a poll going up shortly after this on the community page asking what book we'd like to go in. We'll be picking from 4. With that being said, guys, I love y'all. It's great to hang out with you as always. Please share the gospel, guys. Please, like, subscribe, ring the bell. The book is coming. I got a little sideline. I've been kind of doing some stuff, trying to get into a little bit more of a stable job situation. So kind of trying to do, multiple things at once. I could use your guys' prayers at 10 a.m. tomorrow. I've got a interview to be a full-time substitute teacher, get back into kind of educating. That would be cool. That'd be great opportunity for our family and that kind of thing. So if you guys can pray for us there, that'd be great. I love when I taught in 2020. It was a great time. And I really would love to get back to that. So if you guys be praying, I appreciate that. Please be praying for Truth Seeker's wife, Bobby Jill. Yeah, we'll be praying for Bobby, man. Absolutely, guys. Please pray for Jess's husband, Kevin. Pray for Kevin. T-shirts to come, hopefully, before the rapture. We've just been so crazy over here. So with that, guys, we'll talk soon. All right. So God bless you guys. You have a good night.